Like a lot of people say, the modesty laws. Women, obviously, and men are obligated to be modest in Judaism. When you're a precious jewel, you're not supposed to expose your priceless possessions to the world. Hashem looks at each and every single Jew and each and every single creation that he has as something priceless, especially when it's Am Yisrael, especially when it's human beings. So Hashem says, you're not supposed to show that to the whole world. You're supposed to protect it. If you had $100 million diamond, you wouldn't throw it in the air to see what happens in the middle of the street. What would you do? You'd cover it. You'd put it in a safe. You put a few bodyguards around it to make sure no one sees it, no one looks at it. Even if anyone asks a question, he's suspicious. He's suspect. Why are you asking questions about my diamond? Now, is that diamond any less valuable than your wife? Then why is your wife walking around half naked? If the diamond of $100 million is not more valuable than your wife. I mean, if it's more valuable than your wife, you married the wrong woman. Or maybe you're the wrong man. But the point is that if you think that something that's a stone is more valuable than a human being, you have a problem. But if you realize that your wife is more valuable than a $100 million diamond or a $1 billion diamond, then you have to ask yourself the question, why would you put bodyguards around the diamond and put it in a safe and cover it and protect it and everything, but your wife that's priceless and your daughter that's priceless walk around showing everything to the world? This is the mentality of the Torah. You're not supposed to show everything to the world. There's a time and a place for everything. And not everyone's entitled to see everything. So here, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah is telling you, if you know this rule, you know that you have to be modest as a Jew. You know that you have to be modest as a non-Jew. You know that you have to follow certain laws. But you say, no, you know what? Everyone else is walking around with shorts. So why shouldn't I? Modesty laws don't apply anymore to our generation. Everyone else walks around with a long wig. Why should I have a scarf on my head? Everyone else walks around with t-shirts. Why should I wear long sleeves? It's hot. Our grandparents used to live in a desert, but somehow they weren't hot. We are hot with essential air conditioners. You see the logic here? It's complete 100% Yetzirah. But the point is that if you know that you're not allowed to do it and you still do it, he says that your knowledge is working against you. You actually get punished twice for it. One, for making the sin. Two, for treating Hashem with casualness, thinking that you could just change his laws. He says, if you have such knowledge and you don't actually do something about it, eventually you're going to become a complete 100% kofar. And we'll talk about the details how in a second. He says, when he mentions a verse in the Torah that answers one of your questions, the verse is, and he shall be like an isolated tree in an arid land, and shall not see when good comes. He shall dwell on parched soil in the wilderness, on assaulted and uninhibited land. So here, the prophet is speaking about one who places his trust exclusively in human efforts, whether it's his own efforts or somebody else's effort, instead of relying on God. So whether he earns his living a legal way or illegal way is irrelevant. The point is that he's that person, the prophet Jeremiah is comparing him to an isolated tree that's going to eventually collapse and is never going to receive the blessing from Hashem. So the question that someone asked online is, why is it that some people that are violating the law of Hashem every single day, as Jews, get blessings? They drive a Ferrari, they have a big house, they have a lot of money in the bank, they look happy. Look happy. Theoretically, they're happy. First and foremost, I can tell you from being around a lot of those people that have a lot of material, I've never met one that's actually truly happy. I've met some people that were content with certain parts of their life, but as far as happiness, I've never met a non-religious person that's happy. I've met a lot of people in my life. In the business world, many people, Baruch Hashem, in the religious world also. But as far as the material, one thing I know from experience is money has nothing to do with happiness. All it does is that it enables you to arrive to your problems with the limousine. That's all it does. Money, in essence, is a battery. It's a battery that is supposed to give you the power to enable you to do mitzvot. If you're going to use it properly, and you use that money properly for the purpose of what Hashem said, listen, I gave you the money for mitzvot, then Hashem is going to refill it. He's going to refill it. He's going to refill it. He's going to give you more power. If not, then He's not necessarily going to take it away. Sometimes He takes it away. What happened with the camera?
It went off.
Yeah, strange.
Battery?
Guess this is an interest. No, it's a brand new battery. If, as you can see, Satan is working, so here's a good important question. If, it doesn't matter why. If the person uses this fuel, this money that Hashem gave him, the right way, it entices Hashem to refill it. Entices Hashem to recharge the battery. On the other hand, if he doesn't use the money properly, sometimes Hashem takes it away, but many times He gives him more. He gives him more money. Logic? Last week's Parasha. Last week's Parasha, Parashat Va'etchanan, Hashem says, my lovers, the ones that keep my commandments, I pay them for thousands of generations. This is in chapter 7, verse 9. I pay them for thousands of generations. But my haters, which is the opposite of my lovers, obviously, the ones that don't keep my mitzvot, I pay them cash to their face to destroy them. I will not delay their payment, I will pay them cash to their face. What is this like? The snake that violated the word of Hashem and said Lashon Hara about Hashem. The first sin that happened in the world was the snake lying, saying Lashon Hara about Hashem, saying that Hashem said one thing but He didn't. It wasn't them eating from the tree of knowledge. That was the second sin. First sin was the snake actually lying about Hashem, saying Lashon Hara about Hashem, and Hashem says, you are Ahu, you are cursed forever. And what does Ahu mean? He says you're cursed forever, where you can eat everything, but it's all going to taste like tza'ah, like waste, like soil. Meaning, you're going to have all the money in the world. Everything is available for you to eat. Everything is available for you for the taking. All the money in the world is yours. All the cars in the world, yours. All the houses in the world, yours. All the companies in the world, yours. Everything is yours. Just don't talk to me. Don't pray to me. Why? When do people pray to Hashem? When they don't have any money. When they have some type of need, everybody becomes religious. As my dear friend Fidel told me, everyone's religious at the hospice center. The atheist is religious, the Christian is religious, the Jew is religious, everyone's religious in hospice. Hashem says, you're cursed once you get to a level, Bar Minan, Shem Rachem, once you get to a point of being Arul in the eyes of Hashem, He says, I'm going to give you everything. But not because it's a blessing, because it's a curse. What is it like? Going back to our original analogy of a battery, if you're good, He recharges. If you're bad, He puts extra voltage to the point where He ruins the battery. He gives you so much, you puke it. He gives you so much, you're numb to it. He gives you so much, you start caring less about it. Everything else becomes meaningless. A guy that buys a new car every 3 or 4 years gets excited, usually, when he's about to buy the car. A guy that buys the car every 2 years, less excited. A guy that buys the car every year, less excited. I met a guy that bought 5 Range Rovers in one day. He's a football player, got a contract. On his first day of the contract, he bought 5 Range Rovers for him and a few of his friends, family, and so on. aside from the fact that he's broke now, for obvious reasons, the point is that he was only excited when he bought it. Just 2 weeks later, he wasn't so excited about the 5 Range Rovers. He had to buy another car. When someone gets everything material that they want, it ends up being a curse, not a blessing. And Hashem says, when you get to a point of such prosperity, where you get so much, it's not necessarily always a blessing. It's in fact the opposite. It's a curse. So how do you determine whether it's a curse or not? Determine with the rest of the guy's life. You see, some of these issues are making the Torah very simple to understand. First and foremost, the proof that money does not make one soul in the world happy is the fact that suicide is a rich man's problem. Poor people do not commit suicide for the most part. Proportional to, relative to rich people. Rich people kill themselves. Poor people have hope. They don't kill themselves. This is by far the best possible proof that money does not make you happy. So when you see somebody that has a lot of money, it's not necessarily a good thing.
אם בחוקותיי תלכו ואת מצוותיי תשמעו ועשיתם אותם